Hi, everybody. It's episode 512 of PodQuest.
Hey.
It is Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. I am Chris. With me is Druten.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Hi.
How's everybody doing?
Doing all right.
Rich, how's that like? I know you got a
Oh.
cast.
I'm in a cast now, so it actually feels better because, first of all, the cast is surprisingly more comfortable than the splint. I never thought I would say a cast is comfortable, but it is, and there's not as much pressure. Let me tell you, it was like, what's the best way to put it? You know, have you ever seen somebody pop open the seeds of a cattail?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know the plants in the marshlands that look like a hot dog on a stick?
Oh, yeah. I've never heard this called cattails before.
That's what they're called.
I don't know that I've ever heard anyone call them by name. I'm going to be honest.
What have people called them?
No, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know that anyone has. I don't know that I've ever noticed
That they've
somebody
ever come up in conversation before.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look. Admittedly, I played for almost over a year, at least for 2 hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours a week. I played The Long Dark, and cattails have a big part in the game. But still, like even before The Long Dark, I've encountered people talking about cattails in like cartoons and shit.
No, I definitely cannot think of a time where I've ever encountered that.
Weird. And so obviously you've never seen somebody like pop one of those open.
No, definitely not.
So the brown part on top of them is like a seed pod, and it's condensed, and if you pop it open, it like kind of explodes in fluff. Well, the amount of wrapping that was on my foot was like that when they were cutting open the wrap and the binding for the splint. I did not realize how much cushioning and gauze were around my foot at the time, and how like it was a lot. And it was as soon as he cut it open, there was just immense pressure release that felt so good.
Well, yeah, because isn't like the splint with like the wrap like it's not supposed to like restrict like circulation, but it's supposed to keep pressure on like the wound site, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to keep pressure to help prevent bleeding. Basically, it's supposed to help stop the bleeding.
Whereas the cast is more just to keep you immobile, so that you're not moving the parts that are still healing together.
And to be honest, the moving, I mean, yeah, I guess in a sense, you're not to keep me from moving, but I feel like it's more just as a reminder to not put weight on it. Like, I could probably, if I didn't have a cast on, it'd probably be fine if I moved my ankle or my foot, because it's like the whole surgery wasn't to prevent movement. The whole surgery was to fuse two bones together, and make it so that I don't feel pain when I'm walking. So it prevents left and right movement, but that movement's already prevented because they took an entire tendon out of my leg as well. It's just I feel like it's more just as a reminder of like, hey, don't put weight on this thing, because you could destroy your ankle if you do so, if it's not healed properly yet.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's part of it too, but I can only imagine like if you were to move it too much, like those bones can't be like totally good together yet, right?
No, they're not fused. I'll get into this. I don't care. I had my appointment yesterday with my doctor, and I was asking him because I was on the surgery table for about 6 hours. Supposed to be about a 4-hour procedure. I was on the table for about 5 or 6 hours. And I asked him, I was like, I got there, and I'm like, so like I heard you called my dad, and it was like there was so much damage that it took you forever to have to clean it up. He's like, well, wasn't the cleaning part that took forever? I'm very meticulous about the cleaning. He was explaining that like some people will use like the acid or whatever to just burn it all away. He doesn't do that. He'll scrape it physically, and so he's very meticulous to get everything out rather than using the acid. He doesn't like doing that. But what it was my bones were so bad that they basically had already fused together. And to pop them open, to get inside, to clean them out, took a long time.
Ugh.
Yeah. But then he showed me my x-rays, because we got x-rays yesterday. I've got 2 bolts going from the bottom ball of my heel. So like where your foot where your leg turns into your foot, like that rounded part at the back. I guess it's the ball of your leg. Like it goes pretty much straight up into my ankle, and then I have like a big ass staple inside my foot holding parts together as well.
Oof.
Yeah,
That sounds exciting.
it is. I want pictures of it. I can't pull my X-rays off the website. So next time I see him in 5 weeks, yes, 5 more weeks of not being able to walk. After already not being able to walk for about almost 3 tomorrow. So it's like technically like 4.5, but like 5 weeks. So it's about 7 to 8 weeks of no weight on my foot. But when I go see him in 5 weeks, I'm gonna be like, look, I just want pictures of my X-rays so that I can share it with my friends that want to see my X-rays.
Well, so you can bring them up on the website. You just can't like right click and save.
No, I literally the my chart Cooper app does not have. They don't upload the X-rays. They'll upload the report. They won't upload the X-rays.
Oh, that's dumb.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
but I want to share the X-rays. They're wild. It's wild. Like I didn't realize how crazy
ruined you are.
No, like how crazy the surgery was. Like I knew it was going to be a lot. I knew there was going to be bone fusions, but like I have an incision on the inner part of my ankle to take out the equipment that I already had in there from before, which was just a plug. I have a large incision on the outer part of my ankle where they did all the work. I have a incision on the ball of my ankle where they inserted the bolts, and then I have an incision on the upper part of my leg, or below my knee, but like upper calf, where they like had to like cut and help with realigning a muscle, basically, because they had to stretch the muscle out and whatnot. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, enough of that before we scare everybody away.
No, people love medical discussions.
Not everybody.
People love talking medical. I heard so many people that wanted to see pictures of my foot after I got my splint off.
Well, you're missing
see what my scars look like.
You're missing your opportunity to make some extra money.
No, I can. I don't think anybody wants to pay to see that.
Rule 34.
No, that's my feet are disgusting. With how many scars? There's now 2 scars on each side of my foot. A scar at the bottom of my foot and a scar on my upper leg.
There is somebody that's really into like Frankenstein or that the ragdoll girl from Nightmare Before Christmas. That would pay good money for those pictures, and you're just giving them away free.
Yeah, well, if I'm gonna make an OnlyFans, I'm not gonna make an OnlyFans by selling feet.
Missing out on the best income. But what's on the agenda?
On the agenda, there was a state of play that 2/3 of us were able to watch. Cobb, you watched The Acolyte, or at least 2 episodes that have been released so far. I watched X-Men: The Last Stand with my X-Men movie marathon. And yeah, that's about it. It was a slow week.
Yeah, on our side, Ben was sick since last Friday. Last Friday, like explosive diarrhea sick.
Oh, buddies.
So like the whole weekend, like I did not get more than like 3 hours of sleep because it was just all night. Like every hour to 2 hours, he had to get up to go outside to poop. And then we'd come back inside, we'd go to bed for like an hour and a half, and then he'd wake up and have to go poop again.
Buddy.
It was a bad couple of days for everybody involved, including him.
Yeah. I crashed on Saturday. I had plans like getting a lot of editing and whatnot done and doing some other stuff. And I watched everything I needed. Like I watched X-Men, I watched a bunch of other stuff, and then I just crashed after. I was like, I'm so tired.
Yeah, like this, basically the whole week, like since like, yes, last night was the first night that we actually got to sleep all the way through the night. Mm-hmm. Like he didn't get up to have to go out at all. From, like I said, from last Friday. So what was that? May 31st?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the last like 4 nights have just been like putting on the TV to just something that doesn't require any attention, like The Office, and just kind of staring blankly, trying not to fall asleep too early, but also going to bed very early. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so the state of play here. certainly was a state of the PlayStation.
Yeah.
For better
Yep.
or worse.
Yeah. I even with the reminder from you, Cobb, to watch that it was this weekend, I just completely forgot. Like, I had a lot of stuff on my YouTube queue today after having had been off half day yesterday that, like, I forgot to load that up onto my YouTube queue. And most of the stuff that I was watching didn't end till just 15 minutes before the show, which was also when I clocked out from work.
Always an excuse with this guy. But there really weren't that many like things in the show that we would end up talking about anyway. So I'm just going to run through the list of things that maybe there's anything to talk about. The first one being Concord, which was the biggest fucking tease of, this CG trailer looks like it could be connected to a cool game. Oh, it's just shittier Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I think Overwatch is shittier Overwatch.
Overwatch 2 is shittier Overwatch.
That's
Yeah.
the only Overwatch that exists, though.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. But, like, if we're going
it's-
back in time, you have Overwatch and Overwatch 2 as two separate entities.
We're talking about what is available right now. Overwatch is the shittier Overwatch. Like, and that's the ignoring all the bullshit that Blizzard did about Overwatch. That's ignoring that.
I mean, you were never a fan of Overwatch to begin with, though, right?
I never really got around to playing it. I know it was free to play at one point for a while. Like, Overwatch 1 was like, you had to pay to buy it, and then it was free to play weekends from here to there. But I never really got into it, and anytime I watch somebody play it, I'm bored. Because I don't really know what's going on.
That's fair. I played a little bit of it because I got a copy for free, and, like, I actually did have fun with it, like, for what it was, but it was never a game that, like, I never played more than, like, 1 or 2 rounds at a time because, yeah, like, I get bored with that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Overwatch, and a bunch of people have started getting back into it, and they've backtracked the biggest thing I hated that they changed in Overwatch 2, which was putting all new characters behind the fucking Battle Pass, when they all used to just be free.
Oh, I didn't know they did that. That's super shitty.
Yeah, I mean, so the first character they put out with Overwatch 2, they just gave to everyone. Then after that, they put it in the Battle Pass. And I think at some point they changed it so that you could unlock it if you did a whole bunch of challenges or whatever. And now they're just completely reverting and giving it all the characters to everyone for free like they used to.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely one of those, if they had never done that, cool. Like, whatever. Because I think, isn't it Apex Legends, you have to, like, use, like, in-game currency or buy in-game currency to, like, unlock characters?
Yeah. You have to buy your characters, which you can either use real-life money, or you can just play enough to buy them. Which I've unlocked like 5 characters out of the 10, 15 that they've released, like additional, and like they've all been. I've not paid a single dime for each of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that being the format of that from the beginning is totally fine. Like that is how they released their game. The fact that like Overwatch released Overwatch 2, and like we were just saying, you know, removed the ability to play Overwatch and then decide to change how their characters work is just it's shitty.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be 100% honest. I'm also kind of anti Overwatch 2 due to the fact that they promoted a solo mode, a single player game campaign mode that people paid money to get that they are not doing any, and they are not refunding that money.
I
forgot
about the single player thing.
They charge money for a single player thing?
They charge. There was supposed to be there were people that paid money to get, like, it was all early access, and it was to be able to get access to the solo mode, single player mode, and they never returned the money. Like, there was a lot of people that were like, I don't want to say butthurt, but there were like admittedly, I don't follow a lot of Overwatch. I just know that there was a lot of drama and a lot of back and forth about this single player mode that they promised, that they were working on, that as far as I can recall, they might have taken money for, that they're just saying we're not doing it. And so I've also just been anti-Blizzard Activision because of Blizzard Activision. But yeah, there's just a lot of drama with Overwatch.
I mean, yes, and frankly, like, Overwatch did it really well. The way that they did 5v5, like, it was fun. The characters were fun. Most of the levels were fun. And I don't know, I feel like just this Concord game, just it looks super generic.
Mm-hmm.
At least the gameplay side of it looks super generic. The CG trailer actually looked kind of cool.
Yeah, I
Went
mean,
on too long, but
I was when I watched that Concord trailer. That's one of a few trailers I watched. I watched that, and I got, and this is also I've watched a lot of people play Valorant, and I still I get less bored when watching people play Valorant, but that's also because I've never really experienced playing Valorant. But I was like, I get more Valorant vibes with this, but it's also just it's just a generic shooter.
I don't know how you get less bored watching Valorant when that's a way slower game.
It's not about I get bored watching Overwatch because I don't know what's going on because there's so much going on. I get less bored watching Valorant because it seems to be more tactical. It's 5v5. It's Counter-Strike. So
it's
you
not hero
die,
based,
you're
right?
dead.
It is.
It is. But like there's less going on, and so it's a little bit more tactical.
Okay.
And a little bit more interesting. Whereas like when I'm watching somebody play Overwatch and I'm seeing the healer just running around shooting their wand that has a stream of magic coming out of it to heal or whatever, and that's all I'm seeing them do, and I'm just like, what is going on here? What are you doing? What is this? And I have seen people doing like the escort modes recently. I'm pretty sure they're still in that. You said that they weren't before we started recording.
I swore they took out all the escort maps in Overwatch.
But I felt the same when I was watching my buddy Alien play Marvel Rivals. I was like, all right, this is cool. These Marvel characters are fighting each other, but like there was an escort mission, there was capture the points, I don't know if there was a death match, but it was just like, all right, what is going on here? Like what are we? There's just so much. It's a little bit of a overstimulus when it comes to that.
Yeah, that I can get that with having like played Overwatch. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've never even seen Valorant. Like, I've seen it, but I've never seen enough of it to know like what a game looks like. Overwatch does have just so much stuff going on.
And okay, I was wrong. I was wrong about which maps they took out. They took out the maps where it was you had to capture one point and then capture a different point.
Mm-hmm.
That's the map they got rid of.
Oh, those did suck. I remember those. The payload ones weren't that bad though. But
the times I have played Overwatch, it was not many, but anytime I did the payload missions, they felt incredibly one-sided for the attacker.
So, in my experience, like I'd been on the bad side on both like both ends of that. It really came down to your team. Like you have it, especially when you're like I only ever queued with random people. It's always a shit show because you have people that they don't really care what the objective is. They're just going to run around and try and kill people. And they just want to get like play of the game. Like they don't give a fuck if like the team loses because of the payload either getting to the end point or not getting to the end point. But if you have people that are actually like playing the round, how the round is supposed to go on both sides, it can actually be a lot of fun and actually like edge of your seat. It's just unfortunately with random teams that is often not the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, Concord, it's another 5v5 shooter.
Yeah.
Dynasty Warriors. Look, there's not much to say about it. This Infinity Nikki game looks just fucking wild. Like the description of open world dress up adventure is just somebody had an idea and they got the okay to do it and they just did it all the fucking way.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody was just like, well, I like RPGs and I like playing with Barbie and I like farming sims and I like anime, so I'm just gonna put them all together, and they did.
Yep.
And that's it. I got nothing else. But apparently it comes out this year. And then we had Where Wind Meets, which is the one with the people fighting in the trees. And Rich,
Yeah.
I kind of agree. Flipping through this again, it does not so much a fighting game, but it does very much look like it's just going to be like boss fights, like a Souls game. Like you're just going to go from like one kind of like boss fight to another.
See, I wouldn't compare it to a Souls game because Souls game has stuff in between boss fights. There's exploration. As far as we've seen so far, there was zero exploration in Where Wind Meets.
Yes, I agree.
And that to me made it incredibly boring. I was just like, this is Like the fighting looks cool, but also at the same time, the lead character that you're watching, every time you watch them fight, watch that trailer again. Every time you watch a main character fight, they are blocking. That is it. It's the enemies that are attacking every time. The main character, the player character, is blocking every attack.
Look, this game is very much still early in development. Like they don't show enough actual gameplay for it not to be.
But yes, it's in early development. But you could have focused on getting, like, if there's going to be exploration, get some world building in this trailer. If there's going to be, if it's focusing on combat, focus on the main character's combat, not on the enemy's combat.
I mean, like, this is only trailer number 2. That's us for trailers 6, 7, and 8.
No, this would be shit for trailer number 1, man.
Come on now, that's not how trailers work, and you know it.
Well, yeah, this would be shit for trailer number 2. Trailer number 1 is a cinematic trailer that doesn't even show the game off. But I'm like, if you're trying to sell me this game, I need to know that I'm going to have fun playing it and not just watch the character block the entire fucking time. And I want to know that there's exploration. I want to know that there's actual world building, and I don't want to. Look, the game looks cool, but I feel like it's just going to be climbing a tower in Mortal Kombat 3. Like, it's going to be level based, and it's going to be a boss rush.
See, I don't necessarily mind like the level based thing. I wouldn't want a boss rush game though.
But that's what it's going to be, a level based boss rush. Each level is just a boss fight. That's what I got from that trailer right there.
I mean, just because that's what they show, just because they only showed combat, there's not.
But like to Richie's point though, like when your trailer only shows that stuff, that's kind of that's the only thing you can infer from it is there seems to be a lot of boss fights in this game.
Yeah, like this game could be the best narrative game that in 2026. And it could have like an amazing cast, and it could be fantastic, and it could have the most beautiful world and exploration. But right now, all I've seen are bosses attacking the main character.
Yeah. I will say, like, I think it at least has a little bit of, like, there's promise there. Like, it looks like it could be a cool game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, like, there have been a lot of games in the last few years that the first couple of trailers actually looked interesting. But then when it came to the game, it was either like the From Software like combat style, or
I also got a sense of Sifu in that.
I don't know what I know what Sifu is, but I don't know what the fighting was like in that.
It was fighting game fighting. It was combo based and button. You can't button mash in that game. You actually have to think about it and figure out the combos and hit the right combos and timing and everything else, like to the point, like, and this is where I drop off with Sifu. I loved the game until the final boss, because the final boss takes out the main way I play the game. It negates that ability entirely. You cannot use that ability against the final boss. So it's like, well, this sucks. I can't fight this final boss because you need perfect timing and you need perfect dodging, and like maybe it's meant to be because the game is roguelite-ish, where like you're supposed to do multiple runs and you're supposed to do better each time, and you get stronger the more points you put into different abilities, so that it'll make the subsequent runs easier. But like it's the final boss. You can't use the ability that I used that basically helped me defeat the rest of the bosses. Well, this sucks. I fuck this game. The rest of the game was great. It's a fun. It's an interesting combat system. But there was like exploration. It was running around. It was level based, but it was exploration, running around and like uncovering different aspects of the world. It was a decent story, but it just like at the end of it, it was a kung fu fighter that like did pretty good for somebody who's bad at fighting games. But a lot of people I've talked to about Sifu as well, they were like, it took them 30, 40, 50 hours just to beat the final boss.
Yeah, and I heard similar, like that it was just, a lot of people hit like a wall in that game that they had a very hard time getting over.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of them it was the final boss, but like I did hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Looking at I looked into this where winds meet a little bit more. So it is being called where did that go? Martial arts adventure game. And it apparently is a mix of Zelda and The Witcher gameplay with just a bunch of different systems for like how you want to play. So kind of like what you were just describing with Sifu is like you can kind of tailor your combat play style to like specific stuff.
Then show me that in your trailers. Hopefully the next trailer shows me, because this trailer didn't really show.
Yeah, and like if that is the case, like I'm actually a little bit more interested in this because because some of those like scenes of combat that were that look like gameplay at least reminded me more of like the fast paced action RPGs like some of the more recent Final Fantasy games.
It gave
Platinum
me like
games.
Team Ninja.
Yeah,
and
Team
Platinum
Ninja.
Games vibes.
Yeah, stuff where like you have different ways you can go into it, but you can also kind of just go in there and just brute force your way too. You might die a few times doing it, but eventually you'll get through.
Mm-hmm.
And then the game that I have trouble telling apart from that one was Ballad of Antara, a high fidelity, free to play action RPG, which I also thought this one looked kind of cool.
It did. It gave more of the world and the exploration and everything else, which is nice. Not much.
It didn't have combat.
It had some little bits of combat here and there. But yeah, it didn't focus on.
Oh, you're
combat.
right. It did have a little bit. Sorry, I was just flipping through it again.
But it showed the world. It showed that you're actually walking around a world.
I mean, those could all just be cutscenes. It could just be cutscene as it loads you up into the battle arena.
I mean, it could.
Wrong.
But
like,
no,
from what they showed, like it didn't look like any moving around there was enemies on screen.
There were sequences where there was like 4 or 5 enemies on screen, and the main character is getting ready to attack. But like that's more than just a boss arena.
I'm assuming a free-to-play action RPG will have some sort of exploration because they want you out there exploring the world, finding things that you need to pay money to be able to do.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, like that's what free-to-play kind of means. Depending on how they do it, though, like it could still be a perfectly serviceable game. Like, free-to-play doesn't make it bad. It just means there's going to be some sort of microtransactions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The like dark fantasy vibes seem neat in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably going to keep an eye out for that one just to see, especially if it's free to play. Like, even if it ends up being like shitty microtransaction free to play, it doesn't hurt to try it. Like, you're literally not paying anything to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And then Richie's new favorite game, Marvel Rivals, is coming.
They had their PS5 announcement trailer, which it's Overwatch but Marvel.
Yeah.
We have 2 Overwatch clones on this thing,
which was very funny.
Yeah.
Until Dawn is just a remake port sort of deal. Do you guys know anything about Path of Exile? Like, I know people really liked the first one.
All right, so I mean, I have beaten the first Path of Exile. I actually played it on PS4. Yeah. It's fine. Like the big the high level overview of it is it's Diablo but Final Fantasy VII. Like,
right, that's what Path of Exile is.
Yeah, your abilities all come from gems that drop, which sounds cool until you realize when you actually play the game, you basically use the same abilities, the same one ability like the entire game, and there's kind of really no progression in the game. It also had like a sphere grid kind of thing. It's fine. People that say it's better than any Diablo are insane, but it it was played really well on console, really well on PC. It's cool. It's just not crazy good. Like, I will play Path of Exile 2, I'm sure, because it's free. Like, I mean, hey, if you like Diablo type games and like the idea of materia, play Path of Exile 1. It is free. Like, and plays well. It just, I don't think it was that good. But yeah.
Like you said, free, right?
Yeah, 100% free. Worth playing for free. Like, would I have paid $30 for it? Probably not, but free.
And apparently it'll have early access late this year.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, definitely interested in trying. I kind of think they're doing with Path of Exile what they did with Overwatch, and Path of Exile 1 is just turning into Path of Exile 2. and Path of Exile 1 won't exist anymore. Like,
I
it's
mean, hey,
essentially just like
if it's
add-on
free,
content. Yeah.
if it's free and they don't fuck it up the way they did at Overwatch, like I guess that's not so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see what else. Oh, Silent Hill 2 remake, Rich, for when you need your horror games in October. This comes out in October.
No, I'm leaning on Alien horror games this year.
There are, in fact, depending on the ending.
No, it doesn't count.
There are aliens in this one.
It doesn't count. I'm still trying to figure it out. My idea for this October was either Alien or Eldritch Horror, but I don't really
depending on how you play Silent Hill 2, also kind of Eldritch Horror.
Yeah. But also, I never really had an interest or care for Silent Hill games.
Yeah, I mean, you seem to enjoy the Resident Evil ones more. Yeah. And they're very different style games. Even though they're kind of from the same era, they're very different.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it looks good at least. I will say it's not the prettiest game. I kind of thought just with how games look now that maybe it would look a little bit better. Look at the Resident Evil remakes. 2 and 3 look incredible. 4 too. I keep forgetting there's a 4 remake. And this by no means looks bad. It just doesn't look quite as good as those 2 or 3.
It's 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, no, I keep saying those 2 because no one really talked about 4. 4 just kind of came and went.
It's almost as if maybe it didn't need a remake.
Everything needs a remake. Everything.
That's why I am also not really caring about something. Look, I'm gonna if I do Alien and I have or it's very cheap for Dead Space 1 remake, I'll probably buy the Dead Space 1 remake than play the original Dead Space. But I don't care about remakes. I don't care. When I heard what was it? The Until Dawn is getting a remake.
Yeah, that one is just unnecessary. I'll at least give Silent Hill the credit of that game is nearly 30 years old. It is hard to even play on modern anything. And when you can play it, it doesn't play particularly well on modern anything. So 30-year-old game getting a touch up, especially with how well things like Resident Evil 2 and 3 did and looked and played. Sure. But fucking Until Dawn is less than 10 years old.
No, it's less than 10 years old. It doesn't need a remake. Just fucking re-release it for $20. It'll cost you less money, and you'll probably make more. People love that series. People loved The Quarry. They would absolutely love Until Dawn.
Did people like The Quarry? I didn't hear much about that one compared to some of the others.
That's the issue with games media in general. You don't hear a lot about games unless it's in your aura of, or in your sphere of games. You're not going to hear a lot about it because you're a big horror fan, but that game's also 2 years old at this point.
Yeah, that is actually the only one that's the only one of those super massive games that I have not played. Mm-hmm. I did Until Dawn. I did the I can't think of any of the names now. Little Hope and the one on the boat and the one that was set in Iraq or something like that. Maybe that was no, that wasn't The Quarry.
No, The Quarry is a predecessor to Until. It takes place before Until Dawn. It's in the same world as Until Dawn.
Oh, I thought that was something else. I know what you're talking about now.
No, The Quarry was the one that had David Arquette in it.
Right. Yeah, I just looked this one up. It has a very classic horror movie cover on it. What was the one I'm thinking of? House of Ashes? Yeah, so the last one we played was House of Ashes.
Mm-hmm.
Which, those games, they're generally not groundbreaking, but, they're fun. There's no reason not to play them if you like the horror stuff. But yeah, I hadn't seen or heard much from The Quarry.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing especially about these remakes and re-releases, and look, I bought the Super Mario 3D All-Stars package, and it's this takes away the rarity of game. It makes it so that it makes having a special game less special, having a hard to find game less special. I was I've got Until Dawn on my PlayStation because it was only ever released on PlayStation, and you could still play it on PS3, PS4, PS5. It's playable on those.
Wait,
but
is it playable on PS3?
I thought it was a PS3 game.
No, it was a PS4 game. Came out
PS4.
Yeah,
But
2015.
But you get my point. Like it was only a PlayStation game. It's available still on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. There's no reason that you need to re-release this game. And now, to me, it's like because this is going to be it's the PC and PS5 release. They're releasing it on PC and PS5.
It's
so
funny.
It's like,
It's apparently I didn't realize this. It's not Supermassive doing it. Who's doing it?
No, it's Ballistic Moon.
Okay.
So like it's not even the original creators. It's probably just going to be a scene for scene re-release.
I mean, it kind of has to be because that game used actual actors and motion capture and everything. Like, there's no way that they got all of those same people to come back and redo this stuff because like some of them have gotten like much bigger careers since then.
Yeah, and it's just it makes these games, it makes it feel less special to have some of these.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but also at the same time, for some games, like it's a good thing they're making it more available for people to get. Like, it's not necessarily a bad thing that on more platforms or whatever. Like Until Dawn, I don't think needed to be remade. But
yeah, absolutely
not specifically talking about that one, but just in general.
Let's go with any other. Let's go with Silent Hill 2. Just make a new fucking Silent Hill.
They've tried and they keep failing.
Then
it's like they only made one good one.
Then stop making Silent Hill and make something else.
Listen, Konami doesn't even make games anymore.
Exactly. They make slot machines.
But so here's my argument. Games are meant to be played. You can't easily play some of these games anymore, or at all. Like, there's no way to buy Silent Hill 2. I don't believe. I don't think it's on Steam.
There's no way to buy Spider-Man issue number 1 unless you go to a collector and find it and pay an outrageous amount of money to buy it, and then get this. Well, I mean, this goes beyond. But my point is that's games collection. That's games collecting. But if it's something that you want to play. And it's something that you've heard a lot about. Like this has been my argument for remakes in general. I've always made this argument. Like, yes, it's not easy to play, but there are ways to play it. It's just a lot of money and a lot of time. Let's move forward instead of moving backward.
So here's the thing, though. Your argument of Spider-Man 1. They re-released Spider-Man 1 as a $2.99 comic every 5 years. There is always a way that you can read the first issue of Spider-Man for a reasonable price. Also, you can buy it digitally for the same cost. Like,
but again, that to me it makes it less special that you have Spider-Man number 1 then.
But so the difference is the version that you have. Like,
right.
If you have the copy of Spider-Man 1, that when you open it up, the copyright is 1962, and it's that 3-5 cent comic on the front cover, that's different. That means that you have a piece of history. If you have a copy of the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, if you have a copy of the original Silent Hill 2 for whatever fucking platform that came,
it's PS1.
It was. Then like you have a piece of history that is worth money, regardless of if the game is re-released or remade or released digitally on platforms. Mm-hmm. Like, that physical thing is still special, and in a lot of cases, like, that is a way to play the game that is different from any other also.
Right.
Like, especially when it comes to like digital or remakes or anything like that, because like, for better or worse, games get patched now. Like, when they're going in there and like re-releasing these games, with certain exceptions, like most of them are getting like weird things patched out of them also.
But it's not the same experience. It's not Silent Hill 2 that you're playing. You're playing Silent Hill 2 the remake. It's not the same experience.
That's literally what he said.
But that's the problem. Like, you're not playing the game that everyone loved. You're playing the remake of the game that's been enhanced and changed up, and it's not the original game.
Yeah, you're right. And there should be a way to play that original game that isn't going to cost people thousands of dollars or however much a copy of Silent Hill 2 costs, plus the ability to actually like get it to play on a modern platform, because like unless you have a PS2 still floating around that works, like you're shit out of luck for your PS1 game anyway.
Listen, all PS3s can play PS1.
Oh, that's right. PS3s also.
But I also have I have a PlayStation 2. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in my house.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a PlayStation 2 anymore, but I have a PS1, 3, 4, and 5. Not everybody does though, and not everybody's a game collector. That
Right.
some people just really like a specific game or series and they want to be able to play that game again. Like, I don't completely disagree with you. Like, companies should make new games. But
also agreed.
But I think, like, for certain games, once they've hit a certain age, I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing, because in some cases it kind of revitalizes interest in it. Like, Resident Evil was actually doing okay, because I think 7 came out before 2 Remake, right?
Yeah.
So, like, Resident Evil was already kind of on an uptick after 7 came out. But then they really did keep that fucking engine going by having 2, and then having 8, and then having 3. And then they kind of fell off the tracks with 4. Because I don't
know how they did the 4. I didn't
actually.
get 4.
I think 4 actually did really well. I'm just joking, because I know it. I know you didn't particularly care for it. But, like, frankly, if 4 was the last one that they should even consider remaking in the next 10 years, and frankly, they should have waited 10 more years to remake 4. I think 4 is still too new and too easily playable.
I disagree that they should have that. Here's the thing: you can play Resident Evil 4 on PC. It has been re-released several. The original, the base version of Resident Evil 4 has been re-released on every fucking console and on PC 6 times over.
Yeah.
You don't need a remaster of Resident Evil 4 ever, because it's been available digitally for the last 10 fucking years.
Yes. So I don't think you understood what I meant. Like, I meant, like, they should not do Resident Evil 5. They should not do Resident Evil 6. They shouldn't keep this trend going. Those games are too new. Resident Evil 4, also too new and too easily available. They shouldn't be remaking games that are less than 20 years old. And, like, I realized Resident Evil 4 is, like, pushing that now, but, like,
I think it was 20 years old when they did the remake.
No, that came out 2005.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah. That's why I said, like, if anything, Resident Evil 4 remake should have been 10 more years down the line, when, like, maybe it isn't as easily playable. Like, look at the issues you had trying to play Resident Evil 5, for that matter, on PC, because it used something that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that was the only issue, which is something that they absolutely should have and really could patch through at this point in time. They're not going to, because it's a game that is not making them any money, so why bother? Exactly. But I don't think remakes are necessary to hold up games history. I don't think remakes are needed if people want. If I love Resident Evil 2 Remake. I love that game. It is one of my favorite games. It is not the same as playing Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think Resident Evil 3 is not the same as playing Resident Evil Nemesis. I've never gotten to play Resident Evil Nemesis. Never got to play Resident Evil Nemesis. But I know it's a different kind of game. If they were to re-release Code Veronica, which is probably what the next one would be, it would be Code Veronica.
I always forget about that one.
That's going to be it's not the same game. So yes, it might be a great game, but when I played Resident Evil 2 Remake for the first time, it brought back nostalgia, but it wasn't the same game. And, like, you guys will complain about it because of the tank controls and whatnot and this and that, but it's like, it just didn't feel the same. It was, they changed, they modernized it too much. And not even about the tank controls.
That's a legitimate
else in the game.
That's a legitimate complaint, though. Like that is a thing that is, like, worth having a complaint about, is, like, it being too modernized. But, like, I don't think it's intrinsically bad for a game to get some sort of treatment to make it playable by people when it's not playable any other way. Like, they just need to find, like, no company is going to find the right balance, because if they're going to do it, they want to make the most money. So they're going to make it as mainstream as possible, which sucks. But, like, I would personally rather have it than not have it.
I'm the opposite. I would rather look forward than look back. If they're going to go to the extent that they have, like, even with Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, to the extents that they went to where it's now not Final Fantasy VII anymore. Like it shouldn't be called Final Fantasy VII. I'm sorry, it shouldn't.
Well, it's not called
Final
Fantasy VII Rebirth.
It's dropped the fucking 7. Like, it shouldn't have anything. Like, yes, it has the same characters, but it is not that game anymore. It wasn't that game after Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like, even during Remake, it wasn't that game. They completely changed it. It is a new game. Like, the Resident Evil 2 Remake is a different game than Resident Evil 2. Like, I don't think we needed it. I don't think we need, like, I go over this all the time. I don't think we need remakes. If anything, I think if a company wants to re-release an old game, at best, do make it available on modern consoles in its original form. I think that's the way they should go. Make it available on consoles on its original form. Don't charge 60, 70, 80, 90, $100 for it. Charge 20, $30 for it. Yeah, it might take a little bit of work, but if you're a company that really cares that much about games history and releasing these games...
Oh, the companies don't give a shit, though. No, they only care about making the money.
Then put the money towards new shit. I'm going to be the tired old man on this, but I'm tired of seeing remake. If I want to go back and play...
entirely, like, that's valid. Like, it's not like it's not valid for you to feel that way. It's just, I disagree.
I feel the same way with Thousand Year Door. I didn't even know people wanted Thousand Year Door that badly to get a remake. The original Paper Mario is available on the Nintendo Switch Online.
Oh, that's right. It's on the N64 stuff, right?
Yeah. Why not just, give us access to the GameCube games on there and put that there? Like, here's the thing. There's Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD Remake is only available on Wii U.
Yeah, and it sucks.
There's people out there asking and begging for an HD for that to be re-released. You know what? They're gonna fucking what's that game? What's that other Zelda game that they re-released?
Twilight Princess.
No, the other one, the one that they recently re-released.
Link's Awakening.
Yeah, they're gonna Link's Awakening that shit and like completely redo it all if they're gonna re-release that game. Like, just give us what's available.
It is weird that they didn't just port that and Twilight Princess to the Switch. Like, they've ported almost every other Wii U game they've done, and like those two did not, like, just didn't make the cut for some reason, even though they're like
they did Wind Waker, or not Wind Waker, they did Skyward Sword. Where is our Wind Waker HD remake over on Switch?
But like it's not even so much that they did Skyward Sword, like they did Skyward Sword for the Switch. Wind Waker and Twilight Princess were HD remade whatever for the Wii U. Like, both of them were re-released on the Wii U. Every other Wii U first-party game at this point has been released on the Switch, I think. Yeah. Except for those two that people actually want, because nobody fucking played anything on the Wii U.
Yeah, and it's like...
And like, that's just easy money for Nintendo. Like, put it on the little fucking cartridge, sell it for $50, and like, people will buy it. Like, you have to do very little to it at this point. Like,
yeah, and I would say put them both on a cartridge for $50 if you're going to sell it for $50.
Don't forget, those cartridges are only like 15 gigs. They probably don't both fit on there.
Then release it digitally and only charge $20 a pop. Not even. Honestly, $15 a pop. The amount of work you have to do to get those games available onto the Switch is probably fairly minimal. Like, I think they would make decent money even if they sold it for $15 a pop.
I mean, they absolutely would. They would never sell it for that little. I mean, I think fucking Breath of the Wild is still a $50 game.
It is, and that's just Nintendo tax at this point. And like, when it comes to game cost, especially remake costs for games from Nintendo, it's just Nintendo not lowering prices. But like any other game dev, and like I'm not trying to push aside Nintendo. That's a problem Nintendo has. Any other game dev, they could easily, like, let's throw Capcom under the bus. They could easily do a Silent Hill HD upres and make it playable on PC and just give us the original game and put it on PC for $15. Could easily do that and make it playable on PC for $15, and they would probably make more money than they're going to make from remaking Silent Hill 2.
Oh, well, all right,
but
so
not enough.
Two things. One, Konami, not Capcom with Silent Hill.
Yeah.
2, it's not that easy to just be like, oh, you have this game from 30 years ago, just put it up, make it work on PC. Like, that's just not how game dev works.
That part is true.
But
the games, like when we're talking about like the Zelda games, those are actually probably much easier to take like
Yes.
the Wii U Zelda game and make it run on the Switch.
Yeah.
That would 100% be minimal like time investment to do, and like it that'd be like a min-max sort of situation, like minimal effort for maximum return, because people would
Right.
buy the shit out of those. But yeah, like for old games are fucking weird and nobody knows how they work anymore. That is part of the reason I think why a lot of these games are just getting full remakes too. Is
Also agreed.
So many games in like the 90s, the companies just dumped the fucking source code when they were done. They don't actually know how the games work anymore.
Mhm.
So, and it's not as easy as just like opening up the code and looking at it. So they're just like rebuilding them from the ground up.
And also, even if they have it, like, you can't just take a PlayStation game and make it work on a PC, or
I mean,
a PS1 game and make it work on a PS5. Like, that's just not how it works.
It's kind of crazy how much that stuff's changed over the last 15 years.
I'm gonna make this argument. I can go online right now and download an emulator to play a PlayStation 1 game on my PC.
Yes, you can, but they can't use those emulators to sell a game.
They can make their own emulator?
They could. It's not that easy.
But the emulators you get are things people did for free.
Yeah, because people are nuts. I mean, look at mods for games. Do you know how hard it is to actually make mods for games? And people just do it for free.
Yeah. But that's the people.
Like that's because do you remember Nintendo actually used somebody else's emulator and like got a bunch of shit for it?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was actually with the Switch Online or something like that. Like
it's with the Mario collection thing.
Well, it was the Mario collection. Like
that
somebody looked at the code of those games and it has the dude's signature in the emulators. Mm-hmm. Like his like little like hacker code name thing, like fucking Zero Cool or whatever. And it's like, man, you guys couldn't even be bothered to like come up with your own fucking framework for this. Jesus. But then Nintendo's also the first company to go out there and cease and desist anybody doing anything.
Yeah, cease and desist anybody who's playing a modded copy of Smash Bros and shit like that.
Yeah, didn't they like shut down Smash Bros at tournaments for like something like stupid like that? Just because they weren't in control of it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then sued, though, I forget what emulator website, completely out of...
Yeah, but so just thinking about like games, like kind of how games are made and moved around now, like it is kind of crazy. Like if you look back at like the 90s and even the early 2000s, when a game got a PC launch, it was usually significantly later, usually at least somewhat of a different game experience. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of cases broken in a lot of ways compared to like the console counterparts. Mm-hmm. Whereas now they're just, because consoles are just fucking computers with different operating systems, like they all kind of just play the same. Mm-hmm. Like you have your exceptions, like Arkham Knight on PC was a shit show. And there still occasionally are games like that. But in a lot of cases, like they're just building these games on a PC and just tweaking them for like whatever platform they need to be on. Mm-hmm. And everything just kind of works versus, I remember Halo, the first Halo, when it finally released on PC, was just a buggy fucking mess. And they like added stuff to it because it took so long to come out. Like the PC was the only way that you had the flamethrower. That was actually a really shitty weapon anyway. But like that was 2001 is when the original Halo came out. I think the PC version was like 2003. Like it took them 2 years to get a PC port of that game. Now it's like the Halo Guardians day and date PC and Xbox. Like just it's crazy how much shit has changed and like gotten better. But Rich, talk about Monster Hunter. There are 2 cats in it.
That Monster Hunter Wilds trailer was rad. There were a couple of like little key things that people who don't play the game wouldn't really recognize as being a key thing, but a key change. And like a key change. No,
I know. Never mind.
Was there something with a keychain in the trailers?
No, but you kind of paused for a half second, so I just want to say keychain.
Okay. But like some of the cool things that we've kind of known prior to this is when you go out. So in Monster Hunter World and Rise, you had access to your box in camp, and you'd be able to switch out your weapons and equipment freely, no problem. In Wilds, you're bringing 2 weapons. You have 2 weapons and a single armor loadout. So now you get to. It's now a little bit more strategy based on like what kind of weapons, what kind of armor loadout you want to use. So you can run out, use a gun to paralyze an enemy, switch your weapons over to some other weapon to go ahead and attack them while they're paralyzed and whatnot, which is really cool. The mounted combat is interesting. I'm skeptical on it because like it's going to be the new gimmick, and so they might focus a lot on it. Like there's a lot about Wilds that we don't know yet. We don't know how the game is going to be played. We don't know the region and what kind of enemies there's going to be. There's speculation of what previous game monsters they're going to incorporate into this game. But like the trailer looked rad. Like I'm all for it. I'm excited for it. I've been replaying through World past few weeks. I'm actually into Iceborne. It only took me about 50 hours, not even. I think it's like 40 hours to get to Iceborne. Which is funny because I had 200 hours before Iceborne even came out. But yeah, I have 350 hours on the PlayStation in that game. I think. I don't know. I haven't. I meant to look it up to see how many hours I have, but that would mean reinstalling the game onto the PS5 to find out how many hours I had.
It's weird that doesn't transfer between your things.
What?
Like you can't like the progress. Because they released separate, so that like you had to play the game twice, basically, just to get it on both of your platforms between PC and PlayStation.
That's because Capcom refuses to do crossplay and cross progress.
Oh, I thought it did. I thought they did do crossplay now. It's still if you're playing on PlayStation, you're only with PlayStation people.
PlayStation, Xbox is Xbox, and PC is PC.
I thought isn't Street Fighter cross-platform now?
Fuck if I know. I don't pay any attention to Street Fighter, but
that was more for Drew.
I'm just talking Rise, or I'm just talking Monster Hunter in general.
Drew, do you know if Street Fighter's cross-platform?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so they're just like, no, all you Monster Hunter people can just keep playing Monster Hunter completely separated from each other.
Well, so like the problem was Monster Hunter World. PlayStation release was about a year before PC release of Monster Hunter World. And then Monster Hunter Iceborne was about 6 months before PC Monster Hunter Iceborne. And it wasn't until like the very end that they both met up with release content, with updates.
So why would that stop? Like this is a legitimate question like that I know you can't necessarily answer. But why would them just not releasing at the same time prohibit them from being able to...
because
crossplay.
Because on PS5 I would have Alatreon when on PC they would still just be at the end of Iceborne. But so I would have 3 or 4 updates later than they would. Like
so yeah, you'd have armor and weapons that wouldn't be in their game.
Yes. So that was a problem with World up until World finished. Rise, there was a time where they met up. And they were releasing the content same day for both PC and console. It was near the end of Sunbreak. It was the last couple of content updates. They just refused to do crossplay and cross progress. I don't know how hard or easy it would be to do that. I don't know if it would just like we've already experienced.
League showed us it's just a button. You can accidentally flip it.
Yeah, Rocket League showed us it's a button, but I mean, it's a different. Rocket League is also a different kind of game, but who knows? But Capcom just, when it came to Monster Hunter, just absolutely fucking refused to do any sort of cross progress. Which is why I've got, I think it's about 80 hours on Rise on my Switch, and then 300 hours on PC for Rise and Sunbreak. But yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully they will do some sort of crossplay because like I do weekly Monster Hunters on my stream, and I would love to have people come and play who don't have a PC that can play it. But like I have a lot of people who join my stream. It's like I would love to play with you, but I only have it on PlayStation. I'm only on Xbox. Sorry, bro. Like I don't.
Yeah,
know
like that does suck for that sort of game. That like
a community game like that should have crossplay.
Yeah, just because that game you kind of need to play with people, right? To like really get everything.
You don't need to. Like you can play everything. You can fight every monster by yourself. You don't need other people to fight every monster, but there's a community aspect to the game, and it helps. It just makes the game better when you're playing with other people. It makes the hunts go faster. And it's just like it's just, I don't know, it's a community thing. It's less about like actual like difficulty or whatnot, and it's just more of like, I like playing with other people. I like this. Look, when you're hunting the same monster for 40 hunts in a row to get the one rare item that it just refuses to drop for you, but drops 6 times for everyone else every fight besides you, like, it helps to be able to kill these monsters in 2.5 minutes rather than the 10 minutes it might take you to kill it by yourself.
Okay, that's fair. That is fair.
But yeah, it's also the fun to see like what kind of armor loadouts that other people can play and people figure out, and hints and tips and tricks that people might be able to help you out with. It's just, there's a whole community aspect to it that I like. And besides the hate towards Longsword, which is really just tongue in cheek, the community in general around Monster Hunter is fantastic. I've never seen literally I've only ever met one person who I felt was toxic in the Monster Hunter community. And their complaints were, don't use the meta armor sets, which is like, well, fuck you. Let people use what they want to use. They would not let people on their streams if they were using meta armor sets. And I'm like, that's toxic. That's gross. Don't do that. Let people play how they want to play. Like, fuck off. If somebody wants to use the armor set that is meta, that makes them deal the highest amount of damage that they can deal, then great. Let them use it. Who gives a shit? It's not taking away your fun. You're still gonna fight this hard ass monster and maybe die against it. Who gives a shit? It just means that person sucked at the game, but that person also stopped streaming, and that's funny.
Yeah, I mean that's people though too, right?
Yeah.
Well, last thing that they had was the Astrobot game, which honestly looks delightful because those Astrobot games are actually really cool.
Yeah, the first the like the PS5 demo game that they released is fun. And this one just looks super, super silly. I like 3D platformers. I'm not big on like side-scrolling platformers, but that gave me some like Super Mario 3D vibes, and like, yeah,
it definitely has like 3D platformer going on.
Crash Bandicoot vibes and whatnot. I'm just like, I'm about this. I like this.
Yeah, I'm definitely, and it's September. Like, it's not that far away.
Yeah.
So that'll definitely be something fun to play on the PlayStation in September, because I don't know, like as far as like this state of play goes, like there wasn't a whole lot really to look forward to this fall necessarily.
Yeah.
Because like normally this would be the state of play where they would show us stuff that we would have to do like September through December.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess not this year. What's its next? Rich, you watched X-Men. More X-Men. The third X-Men.
Cobb, you watched Star Wars Acolyte.
Oh, hey, I skipped me. Whoops.
Yeah.
I forgot I watched it. Yeah, I watched that Acolyte show.
Yeah, and I watched X-Men Last Stand.
So, Rich, I think you would like the Acolyte.
And I think
I
think you would like X-Men Last Stand.
I've seen it. I don't like it.
I know. All right, let's talk about Acolyte. I'm done with the bit.
So it's High Republic Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
So it's 100 years before the Skywalker saga. There are no Skywalkers.
Good.
This is your Star Wars show.
I bet you by the end of the show, it's going to turn out, oh, the Acolyte's name is Jeff Skywalker.
Nope. No, so we already know. You find out who the Acolyte is in the first episode.
It's Jeff Skywalker.
No, it's a woman for one.
Jane Skywalker.
That's better.
Yeah.
No, it's actually a cool setup though. 100 years before like the modern era Star Wars that we're familiar with from the movies. Which is something that they haven't done in TV or movies yet. Like, there's tons of comics and books and stuff that kind of like span all of that. So this is the High Republic era, not to be confused with the Old Republic that you would know from like Knights of the Old Republic and the Old Republic MMO. This period was, I think it's like 500 years to 100 years prior to the Skywalker stuff and the rise of the Empire, where everything was just going really well for both the Republic and the Jedi. There was expansion into the galaxy. They were getting better and more varied usage out of like hyperspace travel, so they were able to get further out into their galaxy than they were before. And that's where like a lot of the books and stuff happen, where like bad shit happens as they're doing that, because that's how stories go. This show takes place like 100 years post the books and comics that were happening. So there's one character from like the initial wave of Old Republic stuff that's an alien that has been alive for just a couple hundred years that has shown up. So that's kind of like a cool tie-in to what came before. But this is following a girl who used to be a Jedi. She was on a planet that a Jedi outpost was on, and some tragedy happens when I think she was like 6 or 7, they said, and her parents and sister were murdered in a fire or died in a fire. And one of the Jedi Masters that were at the outpost on that planet kind of took her in, kind of did like an Anakin Skywalker with her and convinced the council that she should be trained. And so she was trained, and after, I guess it would be 10 plus years, she decided to leave the Jedi Order. So they haven't like said for sure, but it seems like she did make it to night before she left. But she did decide to leave, and she's just a mechanic on like space freighters now, like just kind of like living her life. And then she gets framed for the murder of Trinity from The Matrix, because she was in the first episode.
Yeah.
And after that, it becomes some Jedi kind of searching for her, thinking that she is the criminal, and then also trying to find out who really did it. And as the viewer, we see who really did it, and kind of like what some of the going-ons are in the background, without the main like protagonist necessarily seeing it right away. And I don't know, it was a cool setup. There were some lightsabers. There were actually some pretty cool fight scenes that weren't lightsaber fights, because this isn't Jedi versus Sith. We're in one of those periods of the Star Wars universe where like the Sith weren't around yet, or they weren't around at that point because like they had been like wiped out once already. So the fights are actually more like hand-to-hand combat than anything. Like the Jedis aren't pulling out their lightsabers to fucking strike down people that are just coming at them with knives and punching them, which is actually kind of cool. And part of the like inciting incident seems to be that the person who's going around killing these Jedi has a vendetta against 4 specific Jedi, and these 4 Jedi seem to have all exiled themselves for some reason. Because every time that like our main people like hear the name of like a Jedi that's like being targeted, they get like that look on their face, like they all know something that like they're not telling the viewers yet. So I'm interested to see like what happened that is causing this person to want to hunt and kill like these specific Jedi for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got a good cast so far. The only person other than Carrie-Anne Moss, who was just in the beginning of the first episode, is Daphne Keane, who was X-23 in Logan.
Yeah.
She plays one of the Jedi Master's Padawans that is like part of like the main group hunting for the murderer. And she's an alien, so she's got all sorts of like prosthetics and stuff on, but you can still like recognize her as her. And yeah, it's just 2 episodes in, but it is better Star Wars than I've seen in a while. Like that last season of Mandalorian was not very good. The Book of Boba Fett was also not great. Like they were both kind of just they were kind of just doing the motions, unfortunately. And Obi-Wan was just very uneven. Like it had some really cool spots, but then it had a lot of stuff that was just kind of dull. And I never watched Andor or Ahsoka, so I can't say anything about those. But this one kind of being detached from that era of things, where everything it just sucks in that era of Star Wars. Like no one is happy, everything is bad. This is more of a like, okay, like there's still shitty stuff, like there's still poor sectors of the galaxy and all, because that's how that stuff works, but it's like a good time in the galaxy. There's not war and strife and an empire and bad guys with glowy laser swords running around murdering people. There's like Force-sensitive ninja ladies with fucking throwing knives murdering people.
You know what? You bring up a good point. The current era, or the Skywalker saga era of Star Wars, no one's happy and everything's bad. I want a Skywalker Saga era Star Wars film or series where people are happy and it's completely disconnected from everything else that's going on. Show me something far away in the far, far away galaxy.
So that wouldn't be Skywalker Saga though, because you don't want Skywalkers in it because they natively bring sadness. You just want it to be in that time period.
It's Skywalker Saga era, but no one involved in anything. It maybe have them like pseudo involved, like they cross paths or something like that. Like maybe they're on Coruscant, but just make them just happy the entire. They go to Coruscant to go gamble or some shit like that. Like they go, they visit all the planets, but they're betting on pod races. They're doing this, like they're doing things, and they're happy. And yes, I want them to be a rich fucking asshole because why not? That would be fantastic. Just make a series where people are happy in that era. That would be funny.
That would actually be like you basically just want a fucking sitcom. Like
yes. give me a Star Wars sitcom. Yes, Force user or not, I don't care. Give me a Star Wars sitcom. Give me Firefly? No, Firefly wasn't really a sitcom. Was there like a space sitcom? Because Firefly was more of a what's it called?
I mean, Seth MacFarlane had his.
Oh, the Orville. Yeah, Give me the Orville, but Star Wars.
Oh, like you guys both said that. I was trying to think of what that was, and now I remember that show. I never watched it, but I remember
Star Trek comedy.
Yeah, his spoof Star Trek. Which
I'm trying to think. Like, are there really aren't any other like more lighthearted shows? Are there?
There was. This is forever ago. Drew, you might remember it. It was a British space show. Red something.
Red Dwarf.
Dwarf, yeah. Red Dwarf.
I never watched it. I know the name though.
Yeah, was that a comedy?
Yeah, I did. I believe it was considered a comedy. A sitcom science fiction genre is what Google said.
Okay. Yeah, I had never seen it before, so.
Yeah. So, like, and I was going to use, I couldn't remember what it was called. Otherwise, I was going to use that as, like, an example of what I want. But yeah, give me Red Dwarf, but Star Wars. I don't know if people particularly enjoyed it. I only remember watching a few episodes.
I never saw it, so I can't comment.
I mean, IMDb has it an 8.4 out of 10.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those like cult classic kind of things. Like,
yeah.
So we've had Big Bang Theory on as like a background show for a while now, and there was even an episode recently where like Sheldon pulled out like a box set. He's like, "But I have the entire series run of Red Dwarf on DVD."
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, Acolyte so far like actually pretty cool. I could see it getting a little cheesy is not the word, but I like depending on how they go with it, like it could get a little over the top. But I'm hoping they kind of reel that in, and I don't want it to be like gritty and too like dour, but I don't want them to go like slapsticky either, because some of the jokes and stuff like that were a little bit like pushing it.
Yeah,
but I still had a good time, and I guess I want to say I think I've read that it was 8 episodes, and it'll be once a week. So yeah, Star Wars Acolyte, worth at least checking out the first 2 episodes to see if you like it. Better than a lot of the other Star Wars stuff they've been putting out.
Nice. I didn't hate. The last season of Mandalorian I thought was good.
Wait, which one was? I thought the last season of Mandalorian was actually kind of like. Oh no, I guess that one wasn't bad. Book of Boba Fett was the one I didn't like all that much.
Boba Fett and Friends. Like a show that they build as a show about Boba Fett, but half of it was about Mando and Grogu. Like. It was a different kind of show. I didn't hate that one either. I understand people not liking it, but yeah, I'm behind on watching stuff. I'm still making my way through X-Men 90s before I get to X-Men 97. Once I get through X-Men 97, I'll open up to figuring out what else to watch. But I'll probably just wait for Acolyte to be all fully released before I watch it. Because also what is it? The Marvel show with the deaf girl.
Oh, Echo. Yeah, I never watched that either.
Yeah, I want to watch Echo.
So for what it's worth, Acolyte. So far the episodes are like 30-ish minutes when you take into account Disney Plus shows have 10 minutes of credits.
Yeah.
So like they read as 40 minutes, but like when you cut all the credits out, it's really like 32, maybe 33.
Yeah.
So they're at least quick episodes. So like once they're all out, like you could definitely just spend like a Saturday and just kind of like binge them all if you wanted to, or space them out over a few days.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been cool so far. I hope it keeps up.
Nice.
Yeah. But how did you enjoy X-Men Last Stand?
I liked it more than X2, X-Men United. I think that movie gets a lot of hate, but overall it wasn't a setup piece. It was a full story. It has we went over this complaint. It has the dumbest plot twist of all, where Xavier, and it's not really a plot twist, but little twist, where Xavier transferred his mind over to the brain dead guy, but still has same voice. Somehow, eventually gets the same face and has the same powers, but I hate that. I hate that aspect of it. But I feel like it did solid with like some character development, especially showed specifically how cruel Magneto could be when it came to like when Mystique got shot with the mutant cure and became a human, and he turned around and was like, well, you're not one of us anymore, and just leaves her. Like, it strictly shows how cruel he is. Like, you knew he was a pretty cruel dude throughout the first two, but this one is like, yeah, he definitely, like, he doesn't care. He only cares about mutants, and if you end up somehow not being a mutant, then you're screwed. And it shows it brings the tough decisions that you have to make when in war or fighting, when it came to whether or not they decide to use the cure on Magneto at the end of the movie. I mean, you get him saying I'm the Juggernaut, bitch, which is great.
See, that is just dumb and cheesy to me.
Look, that's the thing, especially in the early 2000s, like this era of comic movie, I expect it to be cheesy. Like,
that's fair.
They had the throwaway line in X1 where it's like, what do you expect us to wear? Yellow spandex. Like, it's cheesy. Like that's the cheese I expect them to have. In X2, he was like, if you're going to shoot me, then shoot me. Like, that's cheesy as fuck. It was an awesome line, but it's also cheesy as fuck. And it's like, it was, I believe I don't know 100%, were they referencing the comic with that line, or were they referencing the meme with that line? I don't remember.
It was the meme.
It was the meme? Okay, somebody I remember back in the day told me that they were referencing the comic with that line and not the meme. But yeah, they were referencing the meme with that line, which is like, that's also the start of pop culture and internet culture fusing in a sense. It was cool to see a new cast of X-Men and not the Cyclops Storm. Like, you still had Storm, you still had Wolverine. Rogue, we've already discussed, sucks in these movies. But it was nice to see Colossus have like a leading part in it. It was nice to see.
Oh, that's right.
Bobby.
He was actually like in that movie.
He was like, he wasn't in it as much as like the main cast, but he was part of the team. Like, Shadowcat was part of the team. It's still, I do find it a little silly where like they immediately are like, what did you do, Logan, when Phoenix gets away? But it's like, you can read his fucking mind. Know that like he did nothing. He didn't even touch her and she woke up. Like, he didn't do anything. He did nothing. She like, this was the weirdest, like, she somehow had the ability to like steal powers or something, which confused me.
Yeah, I mean, that movie, like, not that movie, but like that movie series definitely took liberties with some of their powers, and then like how they worked and both like what they did with them.
Yeah, I like the idea of the Phoenix or the Phoenix itself being an alternate personality kind of thing. Like, I like that idea rather than, like, I'm gonna be honest, and I think this is more aligned to what the comics did, but X-Men 90s Phoenix is kind of stupid. I don't like, she basically gets like super powered from radiation, and the Phoenix Force sensors becomes a thing inside of her, something like that. It was like, to be perfectly candid, I thought the Dark Phoenix saga in X-Men 90s sucked. I thought the Phoenix saga was good. I thought Dark Phoenix sucked, and it made me think, it's funny that when they do a Phoenix in X-Men, they lean on Dark Phoenix. There's 2 Dark Phoenix films in X-Men. Why not?
It is the most well-known story.
It is, but like, why not lean on Phoenix being good? Like, why not just give us a, like, you don't have to do like the Phoenix saga, the good Phoenix saga, like in the 90s where they're in space the entire time. You don't need to do that. But like,
So that's the thing. The Phoenix is never good. Like the Phoenix in the comics even is not really good or bad. It is a cosmic entity of death and rebirth. So anytime it shows up, it is both healing and destroying. And that's why it's in the movies, it's the easiest thing to do to just have it be primarily the destruction side of it. Yeah. Because it's such a powerful entity that make it the villain.
Yeah. I will say the Phoenix motivations were shit. This is what I hated about the Dark Phoenix saga and the X-Men 90s series. It's what I hated in like the Dark Phoenix saga and X-Men 90s series was straight up just Jean returned to Earth suddenly. Like literally the episode opens with Jean already back on Earth, and then they do a flashback like 5 minutes in where it's like, oh, she flew back to Earth and was unconscious. And just her Jean's powers were weakened that crystal mutant she can turn herself into crystals, but
Emma Frost.
Emma Frost. It just happens to be that Emma Frost or that Jean's powers are weakened, so Emma Frost can take over her mind, and that's why she becomes Dark Phoenix. I thought it was a really bad, boring saga. And like that's how this one was like, oh, the Phoenix started to take over and was like angry at Xavier for repressing it, which, all right, I understand that. But then it was just like, oh, oppression, and they're going to oppress us, but that's what Magneto was doing to Phoenix, was taking control of her and oppressing her and not allowing her to do what she wanted to do. So, like, Magneto's not any better. And the whole, like, final sequence, yeah, it's like, oh, this is what they want to do to you, is take away your powers, and then she just goes on a rampage and starts destroying everything. Like, yeah, I get it's a little ridiculous, but, and it's not the best, but it, like, though, admittedly, I think Last Stand and United just aren't, they don't hold up to the first X-Men movie.
The first one is actually,
yeah. Of that trilogy, it's actually the best, and we've also agreed that those two don't hold up to even the next few, with the exception of Wolverine Origins. Like, Wolverine Origins is probably, like, if we're talking bottom 3, like, Wolverine Origins is, like, right now, and once I watch Wolverine Origins this week, we're probably looking bottom 3 is Wolverine Origins, Last Stand, and United are probably all within the same ball of bad.
Yeah.
Like the first class, and like I remember First Class. I remember Days of Future Past. I remember Apocalypse. Apocalypse is the worst of those 3, but I personally think Apocalypse is better than Last Stand and United. Yeah.
That's fair. I did not enjoy Apocalypse at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was, my problem with Apocalypse was it was a waste of a lot of characters that could have been really cool. I think because they tried to jam too much into that movie.
Yeah, that was a movie that they probably should have done a 2-parter type thing for.
Yeah, like, frankly, like Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix should have probably just been 1 2-part story without the Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
Or like had the Phoenix be the thing that defeats Apocalypse. Because that is actually how the Ultimate line did it, if I remember correctly. When they did their Phoenix saga, it was during the Apocalypse stuff. And if I remember correctly, like, Jean took on the Phoenix and kind of just undid everything. It was a shitty way to do it, but, like, they did it. But, so, what is is Origins the next one?
I believe Wolverine Origins is the next one, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a good thing for you or a bad thing.
It's fine.
He gets it out of the way.
That's the thing, like, these 3 that are all known to be not as good as the original, like, the worst part of Wolverine Origins is Deadpool.
I mean, yes, that was a bad part, but that movie in general was just not very like that movie did a lot of stupid stuff with what could have actually been a cool movie, much like Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Like the best part of Origins was honestly the Sabretooth. Liv Schreiber was actually like a super good pick for Sabretooth.
Yeah.
And it sucks that he got relegated to one of the worst X-Men movies.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the next one. It's this weekend. I'll be watching it. Well, I mean, maybe Friday, or I might not be watching. Stream's not starting until like noon on Saturday and Sunday, so.
Oh, right, that's this weekend.
Yeah. So I will be watching it. I actually had a minor panic attack yesterday because I was like, "Oh no, was I supposed to watch Moneyball? I don't remember." No.
So I actually had that thought today as I was getting like set up. I'm just like, wait, shit. Where are the timestamps from last week? Did we talk about Theory of Everything last week, or was that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. But yeah, I think Last Stand is middle. Is you can look at it as either the second best or second worst. It's not as bad to me. To me, it's not as bad as United. It's definitely not as good as the first X-Men movie. And yeah, we'll see how my ranking goes with Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine, because it's Wolverine, and then it's Origins Wolverine, then it's First Class, then it's The Wolverine, then it's Days of Future Past, and then I think Deadpool's after Days of Future Past.
I think you're right.
Deadpool and then Logan. No, Deadpool, Apocalypse, Logan, Dark Phoenix, Deadpool 2, New Mutants.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. So you got the 3 X-Men movies done. Oh,
yeah.
Son of a, hang on. There we go. So you got the first 3 done. So you're up to 2006. Origins Wolverine, 2009, and then First Class. Then you're going to go back to do the Wolverine. That was 2013. Yeah. So First Class was 2011. The Wolverine was 2013. From the Wolverine, you're going to
because the Wolverine sort of sets up Days of Future Past.
Yeah, the end
sort
scene
of.
there.
Yeah.
And then from there you'll go to Days of Future Past, which was 2014. And then it's Deadpool and Apocalypse. They were actually the same year. It's just Deadpool came out first.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you would go to Logan, like you said, and then Dark Phoenix.
Oh,
no, I'm sorry. Logan, then Deadpool 2, then Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
And then New Mutants would be your last one up until Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, which that's in July?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I probably won't see that in theaters unless I have people in theaters with me. I'll probably just wait.
Yeah, because I mean, like by the time you get to that point, like it's going to be past the summer anyway, since you're only doing one movie a week.
Well, I got 4 weeks in June,
and you've got 10 movies left.
Yeah, 4 weeks in June, 4 weeks in July. That's 8. 2 weeks into August.
Oh yeah, I guess that is only August by then. In my head, it's later in the June than it really is. It does not. I feel like it's further in than just June 5th.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it'll be like August. Yeah, the early to mid August by the time you're done. Assuming you don't have to like skip a week for anything.
I am trying to figure out if I want to just do Wolverine, if I want to do the Wolverine trilogy next, and then like the First Class trilogy next, or quadrilogy. I don't know.
I think it's worth doing them in release order. Or if I want
to do them in release order, yeah.
I do think release order is worthwhile, only because some of them do actually have little ties to each other that they don't matter per se. Like, you've seen the movies, like you kind of know what's going on already. But like being able to watch them back to back and see those little nods and like how they like connect, I feel like just might make for a more interesting viewing than just watching the 3 Wolverine movies next, especially because like the Wolverine sets up Days of Future Past, and then Logan is beyond all of those other movies.
And that's the thing, like Logan is like its own thing. It doesn't really connect too much with the rest of them. The Deadpool series, like that's the like if anything, Deadpool 1 and 2, I probably won't. I'll probably just watch that after I get through everything. Like Deadpool 1 and 2 might be in August, and I might do Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2.
Well, I mean, hey, there are cameos from X-Men in both those movies.
From like, not really.
I mean, Colossus is in both of them.
But it's not the Colossus we know.
And then there is that one scene in, I forget which one it's in, where they literally the X-Men are there just on like the other side of the wall.
Yeah, or so. Yeah, I don't know. I
It
don't
was
know.
it was a weird scene because the movie was like 2018 and it was the Days of Future Past like era X-Men. It's
Yeah.
like these two things do not go together.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? For what it's worth, I'm glad you actually liked Last Stand more than I remember liking it. I remember just having problems with like I really hate Rogue in these movies. I think she was a wasted fucking character, and I remember that movie just had a lot of her moping around in it.
It didn't really.
Didn't it?
No. Like,
That's my memory.
She's not really like she's in the first scene. Like you get jealous teenager in that. In this, like you get her looking at Bobby and Kitty's like interactions with each other and her getting jealous, but it's like she's not a main focal point besides the fact that she goes to get the cure. But once she leaves to go get the cure, she does not come back till the end of the movie.
I mean, I believe you. Obviously, you just saw it in my memory. Like there was just a lot of her being like mopey and sad and not knowing what to do, and yeah.
Yeah, so it's like they announced the cure, like so it's the beginning of the movie, and she uses her powers to take Colossus's powers, so that she doesn't get blown up, and then like that's really all. I don't even think she had a line. Like she might have looked at Bobby and Kitty at one point because Kitty hugged Bobby, so a missile could go through them, and she got jealous. And then they announced the cure, and she runs into the office. She's like, "Is it true they can cure us?" And then Storm's like, "There's no cure because we're not a disease." And then like I don't remember really seeing her until after Professor X dies, and you see her look out the window while Bobby and Shadowcat are ice skating on the fountain, and that's when she decides to go get the cure. And then Bobby goes and chases after her, but he doesn't even find her. And then she just doesn't come back until the end of the movie. Like anytime you see her, yes, she's moping, but there's not a lot of her moping. It's a lot of everyone moping because Professor X fucking.
Yeah, I mean, I vaguely remember that stuff too, but I haven't seen that movie in I don't know 15 years. Like I didn't like it when I saw it, and I don't know that I ever watched it a second time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to be shocked if you come back and have like, hey man, Wolverine Origins was actually really good.
Look, besides Deadpool, I don't think Wolverine Origins. My memory of Wolverine Origins isn't terrible.
So I remember it opened kind of strong. Like I liked the opening of that movie, but then once it went to like let's call it present day, even though it wasn't present day, like the time period that the movie like primarily takes place, that's where it kind of fell apart. Like
yeah.
Like when he started like going around like syncing up with all of his old like war buddies and like all of those scenes kind of fell flat. The entire end sequence, even before Deadpool, was just it none of it felt like it was really thought out. It felt like a money grab.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. I know. I don't know. I think I'm 50-50 on it right now. I've only ever seen it like once, maybe twice at most. And like anytime I've seen it after the first time I saw it was probably like the end sequences and stuff.
That's fair. Yeah. But yeah, I guess we'll find out your thoughts next week.
Yeah.
Is there anything else either of you want to talk about?
No. No, not really. I played Tribes of Midgard yesterday, but that's a game I played a while back. Like they added a lot to it. Not really. I don't have enough in it to really be able to talk much about it at the moment.
Drew?
Nope, nothing here.
No concerts?
Nope.
Man, what are you doing with your life?
I'm in a lull right now, man. Like
He's in a dry.
I guess the next one is probably actually trying to go see Kevin's band on actually next Wednesday.
Nice. Are you gonna? I remember you saying that that you guys feel slightly obligated to go see Scene Queen anytime she plays. Are you gonna go see her with Baby Metal?
Oh, I don't think she's playing the Philly show actually.
So it's also unfortunately in fucking Bethlehem.
Or well, yeah.
Which sucks because that's so far away. I didn't realize that though. I didn't look to see who was actually on the ticket for it. I just saw they were touring together, and the closest one was Bethlehem.
I saw it. I want to say when Sarah sent me that when she saw it. But I want to say I saw the little like notation on there that it said no Scene Queen, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean that might be like a festival or something because I know they do a couple like bigger things out in the Bethlehem area.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see the summer school, so we will be seeing her when she's in Philly.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm going to that too. But I'm going for Magnolia Park and Stand Atlantic. But I guess that is going to be the end of the show then.
Yep.
So next week we will be talking about Moneyball. So Rich, don't forget to watch that.
I won't.
Maybe do it as part of your stream. Like if you get enough donations, watch Moneyball on stream.
No, because the more donations I get means the more power moves I have to get. So I can't do that.
I mean, you take like a break. You take a 2-hour break to fucking watch Moneyball and comment on it with your audience.
That's not the point of the stream, though.
I know. I'm kidding. The
point of the stream is to get all the power moves
and watch Moneyball. Jeez.
No.
You mix it up a little bit.
No, I need to get all the power moons.
But yeah, so if you'd like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcast, YouTube Music, whatever it's called, Spotify. Rate us, review us, subscribe to us. All of it helps. We are on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Instagram and Twitter. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo. And you can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. And Rich, talk about your stream this weekend.
Twitch.tv/B_Walnuts video game streaming Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, except for this weekend where it's Saturday and Sunday. Where we'll be celebrating my 3-year stream celebration anniversary, which is on the 9th, which is Sunday. We'll be playing some Super Mario Odyssey. I still haven't battened down the full prices. I think I have an idea of what I want to do, but for all the bits, subs, and things like that you give to my stream, we'll increase the number of power moons, and there will be some stretch goals, like potentially maybe doing the one-chip challenge. I haven't really decided if I want to do that or not. Or if we reach enough bits, and it's going to be a lot, like 100,000 bits, I'll do a Princess Bride cosplay and stuff like that. So,
like you'll dress as the princess?
No. It's I would be Andre the Giant's character from Princess Bride.
I just want you to clarify.
Which means I have to shave my beard and just have mutton chops. So, like, yeah, if we reach these numbers, if we get these high numbers, come on in. One thing I'm doing at the moment is once per person, if you donate a total, if you send in a total, it doesn't have to be at one time, a total of 1,500 or more bits, I will sign your screen name, as long as it's PC and PG, I'll sign your screen name on my cast. So,
why's it gotta be PG? Ain't no one gonna say it?
Because if I, see my nieces or whatever, and they see, who's Wiener Dick 34? No, Wiener Dick 69, that's a better name. Who's Wiener Dick 69? I'm not putting Wiener Dick 69 on my cast for the next 5 weeks. No.
So here's a question. If I give you a sub right now, does that count towards the thing?
So subs are 5, 10, and 15 based on the tier during the event, but if you sub right now, it's 2 power moons. So this way, to give you a little bit of a boost, and a reward for continuing your sub now. But you get more bang for your buck for sending me a sub during the event. But I still give you a little bit of a reward. So I already had one person resub, so that adds 2 power moons to the start of the stream. So
okay, I will wait until Saturday to resubscribe to you then.
Yeah, because I wanted to do that to incentivize keep people incentivized to sub, but also give me a buffer of power moons to start the stream with.
That's a good call.
I don't just load up stream and be like, all right, now I have to wait for everybody because I can't really play the game until I get 1 power moon. So we've gotten a total of 8 new followers and 1 sub, so that's 10 total power moons that I get to start the stream with at the moment. There's still a few more days left. Let's see if we get any more subs and things like that prior to that.
Cool. Well, everyone go tune into that on Saturday and Sunday. And other than that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See you.
Bye.